The stars were cold and silent. No one could hear the faint call that came from deep space far beyond the known paths of human ships or alien traders. It was a signal, weak, broken, and old, but still sending out the same message over and over: Fire, help. Inside a drifting ship, alone and near death, sat Elliot Rourke. He was not human. He was Virex, a species once proud and strong among the stars. But now he was the last of his kind. Elliot's body was thin, his skin pale blue with dark veins running across it like cracks on dry land. His eyes, once sharp and full of life, were dull and tired. He had not eaten well in months. The food machines had stopped working long ago. He drank what little water he could find, rationing it like treasure. He sat in the command chair of what was left of the Virex warship, Sable Wind. It had been a powerful ship once, fast and deadly. Now, it was just a floating tomb. 3 years had passed since the attack, 3 years of silence, 3 years of waiting. Elliot remembered the day clearly. The sky filled with enemy fire, the screams through the comms, the explosion that tore through the engine room, the escape pod that launched him into space while everything else burned behind him. He had survived, somehow, by luck, by fate, by sheer will. But survival was not the same as living. Every system on the ship groaned under the weight of time and neglect. Lights flickered. Alarms beeped softly, their sounds more like whispers than warnings. The oxygen recycler sputtered, trying to keep up. The power core was nearly dead. Still, Elliot kept going. He moved slowly, carefully. Every motion took effort. His bones hurt. His stomach growled, but there was nothing to feed it. He had tried to fix things. He had tried to reach someone, but no one ever answered. Still, he sent the signal. It was the only thing he could do. Mayday. Mayday. The voice said again and again, though it wasn't even his voice anymore. It was the computer's best attempt at speaking for him, looping the same message in every known frequency. No one ever replied. Elliot leaned back in the chair, his breath shallow. He closed his eyes and thought of home, of green skies and warm winds, of laughter, of family, of war songs sung before battle. Now all he had was silence, and yet, somewhere far away, a different ship heard the sound. The USS Dakota was not a big ship. It was not fast or flashy. It was a simple exploration frigate, built for long missions in uncharted space. Its hull was worn, its paint faded, but it flew proudly under the Earth flag. On the bridge, Captain Mariah Delaney watched the sensor readouts with a frown. She was tall, calm, and used to making tough calls. Her short black hair showed signs of gray, but her eyes were sharp and clear. "Captain," said Lieutenant Derek Alvarez, her second in command, "we're picking up something strange." "What kind of strange?" she asked, stepping closer. "A distress signal," he said. "Old, weak, repeating itself." "How old?" Derek tapped a few buttons. "At least 3 years." Mariah raised an eyebrow. "That's a long time." "We could be hearing echoes," added Communications Officer Nina Langston. "Or a loop from a wreck." Mariah looked at the screen. The signal was coming from a point far beyond the mapped sectors, a place where no one usually went. She turned to her crew. "What do we know about this area?" "Not much," said Derek. "Empty space. No colonies nearby, just dust and dead zones." "Could be a trap," Nina warned. Mariah nodded. "Could be, or it could be real." She looked around the bridge. The crew waited for her decision. They were explorers, scientists, not soldiers, but they had trained for situations like this. They had protocols. Still, sometimes you had to go with your gut. "I want answers," she said finally. "Set course for the source of the signal. Let's see what's out there." The Dakota moved silently through space. Its engines hummed low, pushing it toward the unknown. Days passed, then weeks. The crew worked hard. Some checked systems, others studied the signal. No one talked much about what they might find. No one wanted to guess. Then, one morning they saw it, A ship floating in darkness, broken, scarred, barely holding together. It spun slowly, like a leaf caught in wind. Its hull was cracked, panels were missing, wires stuck out like torn veins. "It's ancient," Derek said, looking at the readings. "This thing shouldn't even be here." "Life signs?" Mariah asked. Nina shook her head. "Nothing. At least not from sensors." Mariah stood up. "Let's take a closer look." They sent a small team in a shuttle. Derek led the way, along with 2 engineers and a medic. They docked carefully onto the alien ship. Inside it was dark, cold. Dust floated in the air like snow. The lights barely worked. Most of them blinked off and on. They moved slowly, weapons ready. They didn't know what they would find. Then they saw him. In the main control room, slumped in a chair, was Elliot. His eyes were open, but barely. He looked like he hadn't moved in days. When he saw them, he tried to speak. Nothing came out. Derek stepped forward slowly. "Can you understand me?" Elliot blinked. Slowly, he raised a hand. It trembled. But he reached out. Not in fear. Not in anger. In hope. Back on the Dakota, the medics worked quickly. Elliot was brought aboard and placed in the medical bay. Tubes ran into his arms. Monitors beeped softly. "He's alive," Nina whispered. "But just barely," said the ship's doctor, a quiet man named Carl Hensley. "He's malnourished, dehydrated. His body is shutting down." Mariah looked at the alien through the glass. "How long do you think he's been alone?" Carl shook his head. "Hard to say. But if he's been surviving on that wreck, it's a miracle he's still breathing." Mariah crossed her arms. "He needs time and care. And answers," Derek said. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know why he was alone. But they knew one thing. He was not supposed to be alive. And now, he was not alone anymore. Elliot woke slowly. His mind felt heavy. His body ached. But the pain was different now. Softer, like someone had wrapped him in warmth. He opened his eyes and saw the ceiling of a clean room. Bright lights, smooth walls, the smell of medicine. He tried to sit up, but a soft hand pushed him back gently. "Easy," said a woman's voice. "You need rest." He looked at her. She had light brown skin, short hair, and kind eyes. She wore a white coat. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice rough and broken. "My name is Nina," she said. "You're safe now." He stared at her. For so long he had only seen darkness, only heard silence. Now there was a voice, a face, a promise. For the first time in 3 years, Elliot cried, not because he was afraid, but because he was found. Later that night, Mariah visited him. He was awake, sitting up, wrapped in blankets. He looked better, but still weak. "You've been through hell," she said, sitting beside him. He nodded slowly. "Yes." "How did you survive?" He looked at her. His eyes searched hers. Then he spoke. "My people are gone. My ship is dead. I was the only one left." Mariah listened without interrupting. "They attacked us," Elliot continued. "Betrayed us. We trusted them. And they destroyed us." She felt a chill run through her. "What happened to them?" she asked. "They won," he said simply. "And now they hunt anyone who remains." Mariah stood up. She looked at the monitors, at the lines showing his heartbeat, weak but steady. "We'll help you," she said. "You're not alone anymore." Elliot looked at her. He didn't smile. But something changed in his eyes. Hope, just a little, enough to begin again. The USS Dakota drifted in space. Its mission had changed, from exploring the unknown to protecting the last survivor of a forgotten war. And in the silence of space, a new chapter began, one that would change everything. Elliot sat on the edge of the medical bed, staring at his hands. They trembled slightly, not from fear anymore, but from weakness. The room around him was clean and bright. It smelled of metal and medicine. He had not seen such comfort in years. "Nina," Langston stood nearby, watching him with quiet eyes. She was kind, gentle. She had helped him drink water without spilling a drop. She had given him soft blankets when he shivered. She had spoken to him like he mattered. "You're doing better," she said softly. Elliot nodded slowly. "I feel lighter," she smiled. "That's good. Your body is healing." He looked up at her. "But my mind still remembers." Nina's smile faded a little. She understood. How could she not? She had read his file. She had seen the broken ship. She had heard the stories from the others who found him slumped in that chair, barely alive. "We'll take it one day at a time," she told him. Outside the glass window of the med bay, Captain Mariah Delaney watched. She stood tall, arms crossed, thinking. She had made the call to bring Elliot aboard. Now she had to decide what came next. Back on the bridge, the crew gathered for a meeting. "Do we know more about him?" Derek Alvarez asked. Mariah shook her head. "Not much, but we do know he's telling the truth. His people were wiped out." Derek frowned. "And whoever did it might still be looking for him." "That's what worries me," Mariah admitted. Carl Hensley, the ship's doctor, spoke up. "He's weak, yes, but he's smart. I caught him studying our tools yesterday. He learns fast." Mariah nodded. "We need to communicate with him better. Right now we're guessing half of what he says." "I can help with that," Nina offered. "I've been working on a basic translation program. It uses symbols and math first. That's how we started understanding each other." "That's a start," Mariah said. "Let's keep going." Later that evening, Nina brought a small tablet to Elliot's room. He looked at it curiously. She tapped the screen. A circle appeared, then a triangle, then a square. Elliot watched closely, then she pointed to herself. "Nina." He blinked. Slowly, he pointed to himself. "Elliot." She smiled. "Yes." They repeated it again and again, until he got it right. Then she showed him numbers. 1 dot, 2 dots, 3. He recognized them quickly. Math was universal. Over the next few days, they built their own language. Simple words, pictures, gestures. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Elliot learned how to say thank you, water, food, rest. He learned to ask questions. "Where are we going? Why are you helping me?" And Nina answered as best she could. Meanwhile, life aboard the USS Dakota went on. The ship was not large. It carried 23 people, engineers, scientists, pilots, medics. Most kept to their routines, but some watched Elliot carefully. Some were curious. Some were nervous. "He's not dangerous," Nina told them. "How do we know?" someone asked. "Because if he wanted to hurt us, he wouldn't have reached out his hand," she said. Captain Delaney agreed. "We treat him like any guest, with respect, with care." Still, there were rules. Elliot was allowed to move around the ship under supervision. He was not allowed near sensitive areas like weapons or engines unless accompanied by a crew member. He followed the rules without question. He didn't want to be a burden. He didn't want to cause trouble. He only wanted to live. One morning, Elliot asked something new. He pointed to the stars outside the viewport, then to himself, then to the crew. Nina thought for a moment. "You're asking where you belong, now?" He nodded. She looked at him. "You belong here. For now." He stared at the stars. "I don't know how to stay." She sat beside him. "It takes time. We all learn as we go." He turned to her. "What if they come?" She knew who. He meant the Korath, she whispered. He nodded. "They will find me." She didn't answer right away, because she didn't know what to say. Days passed. Elliot grew stronger. He walked more. He ate real food. He even tried speaking a few full sentences. "I am grateful," he said once, to Mariah. She looked at him, surprised. "You're learning fast." He gave a small smile. "You teach well." She smiled back. "Good." Then, just as things began to feel normal, The alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the hallways. Voices shouted over the comms. "All hands to battle stations." Mariah ran to the bridge. So did Derek. "What's happening?" she demanded. "Unknown. Vessel detected," said the sensor officer. "Closing fast." "Cloaked?" Derek asked. "Yes. Just dropped out of stealth." Mariah cursed under her breath. "Raise shields, power up weapons." On the main screen, a shape appeared. Sleek, black, and deadly. A ship. And it was heading straight for them. Elliot felt the ship shake. He heard the alarms. He saw the panic in the crew's eyes. He moved toward the bridge, walking slowly, but purposefully. When he arrived, Mariah looked at him. "This isn't safe," she said. He looked past her at the screen. At the enemy ship. His voice was low. "Korath." Mariah froze. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "Yes." Her stomach dropped. "How long have they been tracking you?" Elliot didn't answer. He only stared at the screen. "They found me," he whispered. Mariah turned to Derek. "Can we outrun them?" "Maybe, if we jump now." "But we won't make it far," the pilot warned. "They're faster than we are." Mariah clenched her jaw. "Then we fight." "No," Elliot said suddenly. "Not yet." Everyone turned to him. "They want me," he said. "Not you." Mariah shook her head. "We're not handing you over." He looked at her. "If they board this ship, they will kill you all." There was silence. Then Derek stepped forward. "We don't leave anyone behind." Elliot looked at him. At Nina. At Mariah. For the first time in 3 years, he felt something else besides pain. Belonging. The Korath ship fired. A beam of red light shot through space and struck the Dakota. The whole ship shook. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Louder. "Shields at 70%, someone shouted. "Return fire," Mariah ordered. Lasers lit up the dark. Explosions bloomed in the void. The Dakota twisted and turned, dodging shots. But the enemy was too fast. "They're locking onto us," the pilot yelled. "Preparing to board." Mariah's heart pounded. "Elliot, tell me anything you know about them." He looked at the screen, eyes sharp. "They use drones, not soldiers. They will try to disable the ship." "Great," Derek muttered. "Robots." Mariah made a decision. "We reroute power to engines. Prepare for emergency jump." "Jump where?" the pilot asked. "Anywhere but here." Just then the lights dimmed. The Korath had begun their boarding sequence. In the hallway, alarms flashed red. The air was thick with tension. Derek led a team to the docking area. Weapons ready, breathing hard. "They'll come through the rear hatch," he said. Nina stayed close to Elliot. He looked scared but not helpless. "I can help," he said. "How?" she asked. He looked at the control panel. "They use a code to unlock systems. I know it." She blinked. "You can stop." "Them?" He nodded. "Maybe." She grabbed a comm. "Captain, Elliot says he can block the boarding." There was a pause, then Mariah's voice came through. "Do it." Elliot moved fast. His fingers danced over the alien keypad. Symbols flew by. He entered codes, shut down access points, locked. Doors. Behind them, the outer hatch groaned. Something tried to force its way in. Then it stopped. The pressure released. The door remained sealed. "They cannot enter," Elliot said. Nina exhaled in relief. But the danger wasn't over. "They'll keep firing," she said. Back on the bridge, Mariah gave the order. "All power to engines, jump now." The Dakota vanished in a flash of blue light. Space swallowed them whole and left the Korath behind. Hours later, the crew regrouped. They were shaken, bruised, but alive. Elliot stood quietly in the corner, watching. Mariah approached him. "You saved us," she said. He looked at her. "You saved me first." She nodded. "Then maybe we saved each other." He didn't smile. Not quite, but something in his eyes changed. Trust, hope, family. The USS Dakota drifted in the dark. Its mission had changed again, from survival to resistance. And somewhere, deep in space, the war had just begun. The USS Dakota floated silently in deep space, far from where the Korath had attacked. The stars around them were quiet again, but the crew knew the peace wouldn't last. Inside the ship, Elliot sat alone in his room. His body was healing, but his mind stayed heavy with worry. He looked out the small window at the dark sky and thought about what had happened. They had found him. After 3 years of hiding, of silence, the Korath had tracked him down. He closed his eyes and tried to breathe slowly. He had survived so long by staying hidden. Now, because of him, the humans were in danger too. A knock came at the door. It opened gently. Nina Langston stepped inside. She held a cup in one hand and a soft smile on her face. "Can I sit?" she asked. Elliot nodded. "Yes." She sat beside him and handed him the cup. It was warm. Steam rose from the top. "What is this?" he asked. "Tea," she said. "It helps when you're thinking too much." He took a small sip. It tasted sweet and earthy. "I'm sorry," he said after a moment. Nina looked at him. "For what?" "For bringing danger to your ship." She shook her head. "You didn't ask for that. They found you. That's not your fault." He looked down. "But now they know where you are." She didn't answer right away, because he was right. On the bridge, Captain Mariah Delaney stood, with Derek Alvarez and Carl Hensley. The mood was serious. "They'll come back," Derek said. "That wasn't just a random attack." Mariah nodded. "I know." Carl rubbed his chin. "We got lucky. But we can't keep running blind." "We need more information," Mariah said. "And Elliot might be the only one who has it." Derek crossed his arms. "Then we ask him." Later that day, Elliot sat at the table in the meeting room. Across from him were Mariah, Derek, and Nina. Mariah leaned forward. "Tell us everything you know about the Korath." Elliot looked at them. He could see the trust in their eyes. Not fear, not anger, just belief. He took a breath. "They are not like other enemies," he began. "They do not fight for land or power. They fight to erase." Derek frowned. "What does that mean?" "They take what they want," Elliot explained. "Not just ships or weapons. They take lives. They use machines to copy minds, to control thoughts. If you resist, you die." Nina shivered. "So they don't just conquer. They change people." Elliot nodded. "Yes, and they never stop." Mariah looked at Derek. "If they find us again, they won't stop until we're either dead or under their control." Derek finished. Silence filled the room. Then Elliot spoke again. "There may be a way to hide, for now." Mariah looked at him. "How?" "There are places in space that even they avoid," he said. "Old ruins, dead zones, places where signals fade and sensors lie." Mariah leaned back. "You're saying there's a place we can go where they won't find us?" Elliot nodded. "Maybe." She looked at Derek. "Can we make it there?" He shrugged. "Depends on how far it is. And if we can fix what they broke." Mariah stood up. "Then let's get moving." Over the next few days, the Dakota became a hive of work. Engineers patched broken panels. Medics checked injuries. Pilots studied star maps. Everyone worked together. Elliot helped where he could. He understood Virex tech better than anyone else, and some of their systems still worked on the Dakota. One night, while fixing a damaged sensor array, Elliot spoke quietly to Nina. "You risk much for me," he said. She smiled. "Because you're worth it." He looked at her. "Why do you believe in me?" She paused, then said, "Because you didn't run when they came. You stayed. You fought. You helped us." He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he whispered, "No one ever believed in me before." She touched his shoulder gently. "Now you have." The Dakota jumped into hyperspace the next morning. The coordinates Elliot gave led them to a place called the Hollow Belt, a ring of dead planets and floating debris. No life, no signals, just silence. Perfect for hiding. As they entered, the ship slowed. Around them, rocks drifted silently. Old wreckage floated in the dark. "This place gives me the creeps," Derek muttered. "It's safe," Elliot said. "For now." Mariah ordered the crew to shut down all non-essential systems. Lights dimmed, engines went silent. Only life support remained active. They waited and watched. 2 days passed. Then, on the third day, the sensors blinked. "Movement. Contact!" the officer shouted. Mariah ran to the bridge. On the screen, a new ship appeared. Sleek, black, silent. The key. Korath had found them. "Damn it," Derek cursed. Mariah turned to Elliot. "Are they scanning us?" He looked at the readings. "Yes, but they don't see us yet." Nina looked confused. "Why not?" "The debris," Elliot said. "It blocks signals. We are hidden. For now." Mariah made a quick decision. "We stay quiet. No movement. No light." Everyone held their breath. On the screen, the Korath ship moved slowly through the belt. Its sensors scanned every rock, every piece of metal. Then it stopped. Its engines flared. It turned and flew away. The crew exhaled as one. Mariah leaned back in her chair. "We're safe." "For now," Elliot added. She looked at him. "Do they give up easily?" "No," he said. "They will come again." Mariah nodded. "Then we prepare." That night the crew gathered in the mess hall. They ate in silence at first, then someone laughed, another joined. Soon the room filled with voices. Elliot sat at the end of the table, watching. Nina sat beside him. "You okay?" He looked at her. "I have not seen this joy in a long time." She smiled. "This is what family looks like." He stared at the faces around him. Men and women. Young and old. Different skin. Different voices, but all together. He felt something warm rise in his chest. Hope. Again. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant, but inside the USS Dakota, something new was growing. Strength, unity, and a promise. They would not fall. Not to. The Korath, not to fear, not to silence. They were alive and they were ready. Time passed slowly aboard the USS Dakota. The days blurred together, marked only by the soft hum of engines and the quiet ticking of clocks. They had hidden in the Hollow Belt for weeks now, waiting, watching, listening. And still, the Korath did not return. Elliot had become part of the crew. Not just a guest or a survivor, but one of them. He moved through the halls with more confidence now. He spoke better, though his words were still slow and careful. He helped where he could, fixing old systems, translating alien data, teaching the crew about Virex history and culture. One evening, he sat with Nina Langston in the mess hall. She was reading from a small book, and he watched her quietly as she turned the pages. "You like that?" he asked. She looked up and smiled. "It's an old Earth story, about a man who travels to space and finds something no one else ever saw." Elliot tilted his head. "Is it true?" "No," she said. "But it makes you feel like it could be." He thought about that for a moment. "Like hope." She nodded. "Exactly." They sat in silence for a while. Then Elliot spoke again. "I used to think I would die alone," he said softly. "That no one would ever find me. That I would fade into nothing." Nina looked at him. "You didn't." He met her eyes. "No, I didn't." A smile touched his lips. Small, but real. Captain Mariah Delaney stood on the bridge looking out over the dark stars. Behind her, Derek Alvarez leaned against the railing. "Do you think they're gone?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, they'll come back." He sighed. "Then what do we do?" She turned to face him. We keep moving. We keep hiding. And we protect our own. Derek crossed his arms. And Elliot? Mariah looked at the main screen, where Elliot's name still appeared under the ship's personnel list. He's one of us now, she said simply. Derek raised an eyebrow. Even if Command says otherwise? She frowned slightly. Command doesn't know what we know. He nodded slowly. So we don't report him. No, she said. Not yet. Derek gave a small smile. I knew you'd say that. Later that night, Mariah called a meeting in the command room. The core team gathered. Derek, Nina, Carl Hensley, and 2 other senior officers. We need to make a plan, she said. If the Korath come again, we won't be lucky twice. Carl leaned forward. What are our options? We can't stay here forever, Derek said. Eventually, they'll find this place again. Mariah nodded. We need to go somewhere safe, somewhere off the maps. Nina looked thoughtful. Elliot knows places. Everyone turned to her. What do you mean? Mariah asked. He told me once, she said. There's a Virex colony, world, abandoned, no records of it in human databases. Derek sat up. If it's not on any map, it might be the safest place we can go, Nina finished. Mariah considered this. Then she stood. We talked to Elliot. Tonight. They found him in the med bay helping Carl organize supplies. When they entered, he looked up. You want something? He asked. Mariah stepped forward. Yes. We need to know everything you can tell us about that Virex colony. Elliot blinked. How did you? Nina smiled. You mentioned it once in passing. He looked at them all, then slowly nodded. There is a place, he said. Far from here. It was meant to be a refuge, but the war came too fast. It was never used. Mariah leaned closer. Where is it? He hesitated. Then he walked to a nearby console and tapped a few buttons. A star map lit up. This system, he said, pointing. It's near a dead sun. No signals, no traffic, just dust and stone. Derek studied the map. It's perfect. Mariah turned to Carl. Can we make it there? He checked the numbers. With some repairs and careful jumps? Yes. She looked at Elliot. Will they follow us? He shook his head. They don't know that place exists. Only a few Virex ever did. She smiled faintly. Then we go. Over the next week, the Dakota became a hive of movement. Engineers worked long hours. Pilots trained new routes. Medics packed extra supplies. Everyone prepared for the jump. Elliot spent time with each department, offering help where he could. He taught Carl how to repair old Virex power cells. He showed Nina how to decode alien messages. He even sparred with Derek during downtime, learning how humans fought. One afternoon, as they rested after training, Derek looked at him. You're getting better, he said. Elliot wiped sweat from his brow. I learn from good teachers. Derek grinned. Yeah, well, don't get used to winning. Elliot smiled. I will try. As launch day approached, the mood changed. Some were excited, others nervous. Late at night, Elliot stood alone in the observation deck. He looked out at the stars and thought about everything that had happened. 3 years ago, he had been alone, broken, dying. Now, he had people who cared, friends, a home. He heard footsteps behind him. Nina joined him at the window. You, okay? She asked. He nodded. Just thinking. She looked at him. About what? He pointed to the stars. About how far I've come. She smiled. You've come a long way. He looked at her. Because of you. She blushed slightly. We all helped? He shook his head. No. You were the first to believe. She looked at him for a long time. Then she reached out and gently took his hand. We're family now, she said, no matter what happens. He squeezed her hand lightly. Then I am not afraid. The USS Dakota launched the next morning. Engines roared. Lights flashed. The crew held their breath as they jumped into the unknown. Stars blurred. Time stretched. Then with a flash they arrived. Before them lay a world cloaked in shadow. Old ruins rose from the ground. Dust floated in the air. The sky was red and silent. Elliot stared out the window. "This is it," he whispered. Mariah looked at him. "Welcome home." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he placed a hand on the glass. For the first time in 3 years, he felt peace. The USS Dakota hovered above the red dust of the old Virex world. Below, broken towers rose like bones from the earth. The sky was silent. No wind, no life. Just time and memory. Elliot stood at the viewport, watching the planet turn slowly. Beneath them, "This place, it's like a ghost," Nina Langston said softly beside him. He nodded. It was meant to be safe, a new home. But the war came too fast. She looked at him. "Now it's real. You're here." He turned to her. "Because of you." She smiled gently. "No, because of all of us." Behind them, Captain Mariah Delaney stepped onto the bridge. She looked tired but steady. The journey had been long, and now they faced something new, not just hiding but building. "Report," she said. Derek Alvarez, standing near the main console, answered. "We've landed 2 teams on the surface. They're checking old systems. Some power still runs through the ruins." Mariah raised an eyebrow. "How?" Elliot spoke up. "Our tech was built to last. Even when no one is around, some things keep running." Carl Hensley, the ship's doctor, added, "They found a working transmitter, old but fixable." Mariah looked at Elliot. "Can you use it?" He thought for a moment, then he nodded. "Yes, I think so." Nina leaned forward. "What would you send?" Elliot looked out at the dark sky. "The truth." On the surface, the crew worked hard. They moved through the ruins with care. Lights flickered in broken halls. Dust rose with every step. It felt like walking through a graveyard. In the heart of the colony, they found the old Virex data center. Inside, machines hummed quietly, still alive after all these years. Elliot sat at the control panel. His fingers danced over the keys. He searched through files, memories, records of war and loss. He found what he was looking for: a full history of the Korath attack. Names of those who died, proof of betrayal, evidence that the Virex had not vanished. They had been erased. He looked at Mariah. This changes everything." She nodded. "Then we send it." Back aboard the Dakota, the crew gathered in the command room. The signal would go out across known space, not just to humans but to every species that might still remember the Virex. Nina stood beside Elliot as he prepared the final message. "You ready?" she asked. He took a deep breath. "I think so." She touched his arm. "You're not alone." He gave a small smile. "I know." He pressed the button. The signal launched into the stars. Days passed, then weeks. And then, something changed. Reports began coming in from distant ships, messages from alien traders, news from human colonies. The Korath were being watched. The truth had spread. Other species, once silent, began to speak out. Some had lost loved ones to the Korath. Some had seen their worlds fall. Now they knew they were not alone. One by one, voices rose in protest. Some sent aid. Some offered shelter. Others began preparing for war. The galaxy had heard the call, and it was waking up. Inside the Dakota, the crew celebrated in quiet ways. Some played music. Some shared stories. Some simply sat together, watching the stars. Elliot walked through the halls, seeing faces that had become family. He stopped beside Derek Alvarez, who was cleaning his sidearm. "You look better," Derek said without looking. Up, Elliot smiled. "I feel better." Derek looked at him. "You did good, man." Elliot shook his head. "We did good." Derek grinned. "Yeah, we did." Later that night, Elliot sat with Nina on the observation deck. Outside, the stars burned, cold and bright. "I never thought I'd see this," he said. "What?" she asked. "A chance," he said. "To fight back, to live again." She looked at him. "You're not just surviving anymore." "No," he whispered. "I'm living." She reached for his hand. He took it. "We're going to be okay," she said. He looked at her. "Because of you." She smiled. "Because of us." Captain Mariah Delaney stood on the bridge watching the reports come in. "Alliances are forming," Derek said behind her. "Some want to meet us, others want to help." She nodded. "It's bigger than us now." He stepped beside her. "Do you think we made the right call?" She looked at him. "We didn't just save one life, we gave hope to many." He smiled faintly. "That's pretty big." She turned to face him. "We started something, and now, others will finish." "It?" He nodded. "So what now?" She looked out at the stars. "We keep moving." "We keep helping, we stay free." He raised an eyebrow. "Still not reporting to command?" She smirked. "Not yet." The USS Dakota drifted in space. Its mission had changed again, from hiding to fighting, from fear to freedom. And somewhere, deep in the stars, the war had truly begun. But this time the Virex were not alone. This time the humans stood with them, and together, they would not be silenced.